There's a particular kind of weight that comes from what is not said. A letter that sits unsent in a drawer. A message typed out and then deleted. A prayer whispered but never shared. These are the echoes we'll explore today. Some truths don't need to be shouted. Some are so sacred, or so complex, or so dangerous to the balance of a fragile peace that they're better left unsaid, or said later when the heart is steadier and the room is quieter. This episode is not about regret, though we'll walk near it. It's about the wisdom found in restraint. The choice to pause. The act of holding space between what we feel and what we let out into the world. In every culture, there are those who carry silence as a sacred duty. The quiet brother. The aunt who never talks about the family dispute. The partner who knows the whole story but lets it sit so that others can find their way in their own time. We often mistake silence for absence, but it can be a kind of presence. Watchful, strong, and deliberate. There's a quote often misattributed to various wise people: never miss a good chance to shut up. But behind the humour is a real art, the art of choosing not to speak. In Stoicism, this is expressed as a kind of discipline, attention to what is within your control, and a quiet mastery over impulse. Epictetus reminds us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. The unsent letter is sometimes a sign of growth. It says, I needed to say it, but I don't need to send it. In Irish households, especially the older ones, silence often did more talking than words. A raised eyebrow, a long pause over a cup of tea, the walk around the back of the garden instead of an argument. It wasn't always healthy, but sometimes it was wise. Silence protected what was too raw to risk. There's a kind of intimacy in what we choose not to say. In the love letter or text never sent. In the anger not unleashed. In the sorrow we carry so that it doesn't burden others. These are acts of love too, because they leave no evidence behind. And sometimes, let's be honest, we simply don't know what to say, or we say the wrong thing and wish we could take it back. A letter never sent means you don't have to. There's a grace in that. Silence isn't always an absence. Sometimes it's a holding, a gathering of strength, a space where something unnamed can live for a while until it becomes clear, or until it simply dissolves on its own. In Taoist philosophy, the ayah of Wu Wei, effortless action, includes the action of non-action, non-interference, letting things unfold, saying nothing, doing nothing, as a conscious choice. When I was in my 20s, I worked with a man who used to pause before responding to almost everything. Whether it was a client, a complaint, or a compliment, he'd leave a beat, sometimes 2, before he answered. At first I thought it was hesitancy. Later I understood it was discipline. He never said anything he didn't mean, and he never said anything twice. You listened when he spoke. He taught me something I didn't know I needed: the power of measured silence. Of course, not all silences are golden. Some are cowardice dressed as caution. Some are the results of power imbalances where speaking comes at a cost. And we mustn't romanticize these. But for many of us, especially those who live at the edge of things, the silence is not a cage. It's a cloak, a way to move through the world with care. Have you ever written a letter to someone and folded it away? Typed text and then deleted it? Have you ever said something aloud to an empty room because you didn't trust the listener you really wanted to hear it? That's part of this story too. The courage to feel fully, even if it remains private. James Stockdale, the American Stoic and naval officer, wrote of his time in captivity in Vietnam that it was often the inner voice of restraint, the decision not to betray fellow prisoners under torture, that held the line. He wrote, "Self-discipline, even in silence, is a kind of courage." That line has never left me. We live in a time of instant reaction, comment sections, and digital reckoning. But some of the wisest things I've ever heard were never said aloud. They were felt, known, revered in silence. There's a Japanese saying, "Sit on a stone for 3 years." It means patience, endurance, but also don't rush to speak, act, or judge. Sit with the feeling. Let the stone warm beneath you. Globally, indigenous cultures often see silence as a form of deep respect and profound wisdom. Lakota tribe values silence as integral to deep listening and thoughtful speech. Their proverb advises silence is the mother of truth. Similarly, the Maori of New Zealand speak of wakarango, a sacred act of listening with the heart, acknowledging that wisdom often emerges from periods of quiet reflection rather than instant reaction. Consider also the Japanese practice of silence as communication. In delicate negotiations, business or personal, the act of remaining quiet often speaks volumes. It conveys respect, allows tension to dissipate, and provides space for deeper understanding. It's a direct challenge to the modern rush for quick wins, an emotionally intelligent strategy of patience over immediacy. There's an immense power in biting your lip or holding your tongue. This isn't suppression, it's strategic. It's a measured choice to preserve dignity, relationships, or simply to provide room for clear thinking. The philosopher Seneca famously noted, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's hardest tests." Yet we live in a world that often prioritizes the quick win, the immediate gratification of a sharp answer or instant feedback. Social media amplifies impulsivity, rewards fast reactions over thoughtful responses. Emotional intelligence, however, reminds us that the space between stimulus and response is our greatest asset. In traditional African wisdom, the proverb says, "Words are like eggs. Once broken, they cannot be repaired." Reflecting on the permanence of spoken word, this wisdom underscores the importance of deliberate speech. Indigenous Australian cultures too recognise silence as essential in decision-making, valuing pauses and thoughtful considerations before actions. The Stoics reinforce this insight, promoting reflection as a core principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote the now famous quote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realise this and you will find strength." The choice to say nothing often arises from this inner clarity and emotional discipline. A quick win might feel satisfying momentarily, but a considered response has longevity. It builds trust, fosters respect, and strengthens relationships. It transforms potential conflict into moments of genuine understanding. In leadership too, there's a deep value in the unsaid. Good leaders know when to step in and when to hold back. They don't always fill the room with sound. They allow others to speak first. They absorb before responding. They let tensions teach. And sometimes they communicate more with their presence than with their proclamations. Musonius Rufus, the often overlooked Stoic teacher, said that true philosophy was lived through deeds more than declarations. Quiet strength of character, the endurance to stay composed, to respond with dignity, not defensiveness. It's sometimes the greatest signal of leadership. Not everything needs a reply. Not every insult needs an answer. Not every misunderstanding must be corrected in the moment. There's a wisdom in knowing which fires go out on their own. There's another form of the unsent letter, the creative one, the project we almost launched, the song half written, the business idea we nurtured in a notebook. These two are echoes, not failures, but reflections of a particular moment in time. Sometimes they were rehearsals for courage. Sometimes they were the seeds for something else. Someone once told me, Not every acorn becomes a tree, but it still held the shape of one. So here's today's echo from the margins. Ask yourself, what have I not said and why? What silence am I carrying? And does it still serve me? Would speaking now bring peace or reopen a wound? And this is not an invitation to bottle things up. It's a reminder that sometimes silence is not a weakness. It's not a failure to communicate. It's a deep, knowing breath that says, not now, not yet, maybe never, and that's okay. Some letters are never sent because we no longer need to send them. Some prayers go unanswered because they were never meant to be fulfilled, only to be whispered. And some stories are told best, not in words, but in the way we show up, stay present, and keep listening. Until next month, take care and listen closely. The margins are speaking.